Okay, welcome everybody. I think we're about ready to get started. It's 10:30, and welcome everybody. My name is Nicholas Clarke. I'm the Policy and Communications Officer at Social Economy Europe, which is the voice of over 2.8 million social economy enterprises in the European Union and represents 13.8 million citizens and over 8% of the EU GDP. So this goes to show that the social economy is no small thing, and it's growing, and we are the future. It's a pleasure to be moderating today, and welcome everybody to the second day of this Social Seeds event, organized by Yorada, Social Seeds, and Interreg. And please allow me to send my apologies for the Social Economy Europe Director, Victor Messager, who was originally moderating this event. However, he's unable to be here, so here I am. Now, although I've not been at Social Economy Europe for long, I know that cooperation between SEE and Yorada goes back a long way. And this event promises to be a very informative and diverse discussion of how the social economy gives rise to a more inclusive and sustainable Europe. So most of you know this is a 2-day event, and this is the second day. So for those of you who were not here yesterday, let me just introduce Social Seeds very quickly. Now, Social Seeds is an Interreg project that started in April of 2016 and will run until March 2021. Now, the project is set out to enhance the effectiveness of local and regional policies for the stimulation of growth and employment of social enterprises, and particularly for people from vulnerable social groups. It's a consortium, and it has several organizations. So the lead partner is IFCA, Public Benefit Non-Profit, for the development of the industry in Budapest, Hungary. There's Rzeszów, Regional Development Agency from Poland, the Business Support Center from Slovenia, at Steibeis Europa Zentrum from Germany, from Baden-Württemberg region, the Regional Development Agency of South Bohemia and the Czech Republic, and the European Association of Regional Development Agencies here in Brussels. Now, today we're going to hear from specific social entrepreneurs themselves, and they will share how they benefit from Social Seeds support, and we'll also illustrate how projects like Social Seeds can become an essential tool for the development of social enterprises. So joining us today are important level speakers, such as Max Bulakowski, who is Policy Analyst of the Social Economy and Innovation Unit at the OECD. Now, he works with national, regional, and local governments in designing and implementing strategies to support the social and solidarity economy, social enterprises, and social innovation by providing them with tailored and evidence-based policy recommendations. Incredibly important thing. We'll also be hearing from important social entrepreneurs themselves. Now, I'll give a more detailed introduction later on when they speak, but we'll be joined today by Alexander Bernard, Attila Ferenci, Kaja Zaiko, Agata Jemiakovic, and Donna Kalistova. Now, to set the scene for today's discussions a little bit, the European Union has invested significant efforts and funds into the social economy sector more recently. Now, it's really pumped up those efforts, and it's really reaffirmed those commitments by appointing Nicolas Schmidt as Commissioner for Jobs and Social Rights, and given him a mandate to develop a social economy action plan by the 4th trimester of next year, 2021. It's important to know that social enterprises are playing a crucial role in the European socio-economic landscape, making our societies more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable. And of course, we can't go a long time in today's day and age without speaking of COVID and the COVID-19 pandemic, but this has further cemented the importance of the social economy as a strong economy for us. The reason is that it's been the reply to many of the problems caused by COVID-19 by providing services of general interest and being on the front line of helping vulnerable groups. So how does it do this? And we're going to hear from social entrepreneurs today explaining many of these things, but it helps us to reindustrialize. It helps us to save jobs, importantly, create jobs and create opportunities through social integration of people at risk. Importantly, it allows us to accelerate Europe's green transition especially in a fair way, not just the giant companies helping us with the renewable energy, but actually renewable energy communities such as res co-ops, housing communities and cooperatives, agroecology, and as we'll hear from the speakers today, many examples of pioneering job creation through the circular economy. And the circular economy is incredibly important in keeping our resources in use for as long as possible so we don't destroy the environment by taking out more resources from planet Earth. It also helps us to offer economic opportunities in less populated areas. It helps us to accelerate a fair digital transition and strengthen our welfare system. So we're going to get started very, very soon. But before we do, a couple of housekeeping rules for today's event. Upon entry, you will notice that your cameras and your microphones were switched off. But don't worry, if you have any questions, then you will be given the floor at the right time. And you can let us know by clicking the raise hand button. Now, somebody from our team will give you the floor at the appropriate time in a Q&A session later on, and they will then unmute your microphone so you can speak. We'll also take note of any unanswered questions, and we'll try to circulate these after the event. The event is being recorded, so I always find this important. When you miss something, you can always go back and rewatch and watch again. And finally, slides and recordings will be made available on the Interreg Europe Social Seeds website. Now, hopefully you can see on the screen still that there is, we have a Slido going on. Now, the Slido is going to help us to get to know you a bit better, and we have some important questions. So please go to slido.com and type in the code T950. And once you do that, you'll see a question. I'm going to let you read the question yourselves, and we'll give you just a minute to do that, and then we'll move on to our first speaker, Mr. Max Bulakowski.
Hello.
Hello, Max. Fantastic. Are you ready to begin?
Yes. So hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. And thank you very much, Nicholas, for an excellent setting up this scene. As we have heard, social economy is an important element for the resilience for coming up the following the crisis. And I am just trying to find my presentation meanwhile, but I just wanted to mention that it has been a great pleasure to be back here with Irada. I've been collaborating with Christian at the time and with Tessa since many years, and it's been a great pleasure to be back and to see how important they are continuing working on this in this area. So maybe just I hope you see my screen right now.
Not quite yet. Yes,
now?
Now. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, as you have already mentioned, we have seen a great evidence that COVID has changed the way we live, the way we work, and it has huge impacts on the society. The upcoming report from the OECD will showcase that it has affected places everywhere around the entire world. But what we have specifically noticed is that it has affected some areas more it has more impact in some of the areas. So, for example, some of the regions have been hugely affected by unemployment rates, and we have, for example, data coming from the US, but also from the EU. And we see that in some, especially rural areas, there has been a huge impact on work. We have also been very careful about this because we realized that almost half of the regions have not yet recovered from the pre-crisis unemployment rates, which going back to the 2018. And this really puts a lot of issues on the plate in the upcoming period. And that's where we see that maybe social economy is probably one of the key building blocks of the area after COVID, because it's nice to think that it's over. As you have already mentioned, social economy in the EU represents about 2.8 traditional social economy enterprises employing 6.3% of the population of the EU. But what we really notice is that actually its impact goes far beyond those numbers. And the reason is that why social economy is much more important in some ways than a traditional kind of enterprise. First of all, because as you already mentioned, it addresses social and environmental issues, and it's very well placed at the local level. So it really knows what happens in a particular locality. Secondly, because it has a great opportunity to involve new stakeholders into the process. We're speaking about, for example, citizens, and through this involvement, create new elements, new social innovations, which can help and develop kind of new solutions which we will need. And then it has this repairing and transforming roles. I will speak about this a little bit later. What we have seen during the crises, not only COVID crisis, but also going back to the 2008 crisis, or for example, you might remember an Asian tsunami, that social economy played a very important role in the repairing function. Social enterprises and associations and cooperatives were the first ones that went and tried to solve the issues, helping the people. And this has been a kind of a traditionally seen role of the social economy. But what we have seen that now, over the last several years, there is a new kind of a role that social economy can play, and it relates to its repairing function. Basically, what is very particular about it, that in order to transform our society and to adjust it to the future, we will need to find new ways of operation. And that's where actually social economy has been proven to be very good, because it helps us to experiment, and bring new things. And we have seen that a lot of the innovations that later traditional enterprises have been picking up actually come from the social economy. It picks up new trends because it's very well anchored at the local level. So it's sometimes it picks up the new trends and creates a business model around it. That's where social enterprises are very important and play a very important role. And as I already mentioned, because it helps to involve other stakeholders like citizens, small, medium enterprises, some policymakers in the process of kind of innovation and trying to find new solutions. That's why its transforming role is very important in the future. Actually, we have just released the new publications precisely speaking about COVID and the transforming role of the social economy. And I provide the link on the slide. But what we've noticed is that social economy is, of course, characterized by that it addresses primary societal issues, as you very well mentioned, the environmental, but also social. But also it has particular, its activities are organized in a different manner, in a different way. It has solidarity values, it has collaboration values, and its governance models are typically structured differently to a traditional enterprise. That's what creates a social economy. What we have also noticed is that it has a variety of legal entities and forms. So, and this can go to for-profit to non-profit. For example, it goes from social enterprises to associations and cooperatives, and that's what makes it very diverse and very different. We also have a diversity of size. Although we keep on thinking that social economy actors are typically small enterprises, and it's true in most of the cases. There's also some examples of very large enterprises, and just to give an example, Mondragon Cooperative is a very large entity. We also have a diversity of outreach, where we notice that, again, majority of social economy actors are very active at local level, very local level. Some of them are really present at a national, even international level. And finally, I think we started listing down the sectors, and we were impressed ourselves by the diversity of sectors in which social economy is present. So when we speak about social economy, that's what we really mean. It's a very rich kind of a concept, which comprises a variety of things. And that's one of the reasons why I have posted this 4 options for example, trying to understand what people understand by social enterprises. Because it can be a for-profit entity, non-profit entity, it would be good to see the answers, but it just can show you that how complex it is to understand. For example, defining what is a social enterprise or not a social enterprise could sometimes be just a matter of motivation, and it's very difficult to get it from the financial statement or from the business model. So it's a very rich entity. What we do in terms of the OECD, just to give you a very, very brief outline, we're starting to collect more and more data on this area, also on the impacts of COVID and which kind of policies have been put in place, and provide an in-depth reviews on social entrepreneurship. And here I wanted to go to just highlight 3 elements that we have I think would be useful for this discussion. First of all is that we have developed together with the European Union a better entrepreneurship policy tool, which is an online tool which is there in order to help various stakeholders meet up and discuss the state of affairs around the policies surrounding social entrepreneurship. It's a free tool. It can be used during COVID or before COVID. Before we conducted it, we've spoken to hundreds of people, and it's there for you to use. The beauty of it is that it identified some of the areas through which you can go through the systemic way of answering questions. And I'm pleased that yesterday and today we're probably going to touch about many of the issues which are very important. It's about the institutions, the finance, the kind of the skills needed, the impact created. So it's a relevant tool, and it can ask you relevant questions in which direction to go. And then I wanted to highlight that we have also started recently a global action on social and solidarity economy. It's a 3-year action covered by the European Union, and which covers all the EU countries and 6 countries outside of the EU, including the US, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, India, and Korea. And as an outcome of this work, we will produce a practical guide on legal frameworks, on social impact measurement, on internationalization, and we will also produce country fact sheets for each of these countries, providing basic data on all the statements related to legal frameworks and any statistics we have on the social economy. We have just launched a peer learning partnerships call for tender, which has just been closed early in November. So we'll be going into the evaluation of the proposals, and hopefully some of you are there. But basically, what I want to mention for that is that there's a lot of effort going, thanks to the EU, thanks to the international organizations, but also thanks to a lot of local stakeholders in trying to gather more information about social economy, the specific models, and tries and ways how we can actually measure and find it. And last but not the least, we're also working on the specific documents related to social innovation at local level. And the report has been already drafted. We're trying to get some feedback from a variety of stakeholders. but hopefully this will also be a practical tool for some of the social economy actors of how they can get more involved with social innovation. And just a few recent publications which might be relevant. And the very last slide, wanted to list some of the recent publications we have done. But if there is something that you should maybe pick up from this session, and I hope we will cover it during the concrete examples later on today, is the fact that social economy can not only provide support with the kind of repairing function, but it should be a very active and important element of the transformation after the COVID, thanks to this very specific features that it has. And it can offer a lot if it's enabled, if it's supported, and some of these small initiatives can grow into something that can have a big impact. Voila. So thank you very much, and I look forward to the discussions and potentially some questions. I think I've seen some of them passing by.
Wonderful, Max. Thank you very much for that really evidence-based and full presentation. Really wonderful. And it's very interesting to know that industries are actually imitating the social economy structure in some ways. And they always say that imitation is the greatest compliment. So that shows that the social economy is really doing something right. And I just want to echo what you're saying about the social economy putting people first, usually reinvesting profits and having a democratic form of governance is a really way to make this transition incredibly fair and just. And I think that's one of the major strengths of the social economy as well. So thank you once again, Max. And we're going to move on now to Alexander Bernard, who will be talking about open social innovation. And he encourages us to be part of the purpose-driven economy. He's co-founder of Reluminity. It's the first repairable LED lamp, which is fantastic. The Social Innovation Summit, and managing director of Social Entrepreneurship BW, which is the German region of Baden-Württemberg. So, Alexander, I pass the floor to you.
Can I unmute myself? Yes.
Perfect. We can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And thank you for the first presentation and introduction. I do have to say at that point, I would contest the idea that every job creation entity and every cooperative is a social enterprise. But I would love to actually jump on that discussion later on. As Nicholas said, my name is Alexander. I'm part of the Global Impact Hub Network, which is a network of 100 locations worldwide. I think it's about the biggest network of social entrepreneurs around the world. I'm sitting here in Stuttgart. I'm also co-founder of Reluminity. I'm going to draw on later on, and part of the intermediary institution, Social Entrepreneurship BW, whose mission is to advance social entrepreneurship in general. So, and I actually prepared a couple of slides, but I don't want to actually bore you too much with definitions. I think you all know what social innovation is, but I just wanted to actually point out those two elements, creating a particular novel solution to a social challenge. And that's something quite often I feel remains unmentioned, is that adoption is key, widespread adoption. So if you have a great idea, a great potential idea for a social innovation, but it sits somewhere in your basement, it doesn't actually constitute a real social innovation. And an open social innovation, of course, is any form of additional open innovation process attached, to the development, basically, meaning an open source participatory approach and a co-creation approach where the civic society is basically invited to take part in shaping certain forms of solutions. So, and I actually want to give you a couple of examples from Germany, and specifically from the state of Baden-Württemberg. One actually, which I found quite impressive, is the open data fine dust project, meaning that in the city of Stuttgart, which is the absolute capital of fine dust, great deal of automotive companies around here, great deal of cars, people around here love cars, but obviously fine dust is an issue. And a couple of folks here from the Open Foundation in Germany actually came up with a great idea to set up an open system, basically, where they would provide a how-to guide for every citizen, actually, to build very easily a fine dust measurement tool that can be linked to your wireless LAN and basically measure the fine dust levels in front of your house. And that was actually done because the government would not actually provide on-time data, okay, how the fine dust levels really are. So they created this massive transparency initiative, and that basically spread around the world. And those folks have been invited to a great deal of capitals in order to draw and present on what they've been doing. But not interestingly, but they have not been invited so far by the city of Stuttgart, where this idea was born, which is quite interesting side information here. But that is something actually which can certainly be called global social innovation, because I think even in the United States and across the world, this kind of system has been adopted. So another one actually, I wanted to point it out, some of you might heard about it, is the one of the biggest hackathons that ever happened. And in the light of, this was basically developed in the light of COVID-19. It was called the hackathon Wir versus Virus, means us against the virus, basically. More than 28,000 folks took part in this 2-day hackathon. And it was basically about creating new ideas to prevent contraction, to address actually the consequences of COVID-19, etc. One of the biggest successes when it comes to an open hackathon system. So, and the last one actually is a project I'm a part of, which was mentioned, which is an LED light system, repairable, part of the circular economy, reusable, and based on a fair trade value chain, which is a very complicated thing, I can tell you, when you think about electronic products, because most parts you do have to source from China. So there is no other alternative when it comes to the diodes themselves these days, which is interesting. China and Japan, the only countries. So it becomes very hard and a very cumbersome process to actually create a fair trade value chain out of this. But this project as well is somehow related to an open social innovation approach, at least to some degree. It has not been widely adopted. So we sold about, I think, 10 or 15,000 of those light bulbs. I don't know, at one point you hit the threshold there to qualify for social innovation. But nonetheless, this is an open source project, meaning we actually offered and published the plans so you can basically replicate and try to remanufacture with 3D printers, etc. The whole product. So, and I want to actually point out, after those quick presentations on 3 projects here, the major issues we face and we see when we think about open social innovation. First off, they're quite often not funded, meaning specifically the versus virus project and the project here with the fine dust measurement tools. Both of those projects, they were actually set up by a great deal of volunteers, okay, and voluntary action. And that is a problem to some degree, because since we're talking about social enterprises, we try to figure out how we can create a system where people actually make it their mission and kind of really their main job in order to actually set up and shape social innovation. And that is an issue. And I feel also that is an issue because when we talk about open social innovation approaches in general, it is very hard to predefine what the results are going to be, okay, how the results are going to look like. And there are few entities out there who are willing to fund something they don't know what actually, what this is going to become at some point. So that is actually quite hard. The Wir versus Virus hackathon, for example, had no problem whatsoever to get a great deal of funding after actually the major success already kicked in, okay, to create some sort of a follow-up process there. But nonetheless, that is a major problem here, that we need public funding. And I mentioned particular public funding here because it is public benefit that is being created in order to create proper frame conditions for such projects to kick off in the first place. So, and there's something else I want to mention specifically here is that we need as well some sort of an additional expertise, major acceleration programs who would help, at least for some of those projects, to commercialize those products. Okay, we see a great deal of accelerators around Europe when it comes to supporting social enterprises, but they are highly underfunded, specifically when you compare them to the startup economy. Okay, and there's not enough venture capital in order to kick those innovations off the ground. So those were our major takeaways. Are we already open for questions, or is that something actually that we do later on?
We'll actually do questions at the end.
Okay. Yeah. That is basically those were the main points I wanted to make here. And specifically, as I said, commercialization, financial sustainability is a major issue. And I think that's something we all should be working on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Alexander. That was a really fascinating presentation with lots and lots of examples, especially of how social entities can fill the gap left by traditional the traditional model and the public and private sector. So that's really, really interesting, especially the message about the funding. You really made that loud and clear. So I really hope that we can continue to perpetuate this message. So that's really wonderful. We're going to move on now to Attila Ferenczi. She'll be speaking about Recobin. He will be speaking about Recobin, complex waste management. And Attila is CEO at Recobin. They offer a range of bins made of recycled materials. But not only that, they also offer complex institution-specific solutions for waste prevention and waste recycling as well. So Attila, if you're ready, the floor is all yours.
So hello, everyone. And first of all, I hope you can all hear me. And thanks for having me, first of all. And I think I just jump into my presentation.
Perfect.
I also wanted to mention that I'm very glad to for your opening presentation that you mentioned. Sorry. That you mentioned and you underlined the importance of social enterprises have to tackle the issues of in the environment and of the unemployment, because unemployment is going to be a huge issue as we consider it. We do a lot of effort into that, and only in Hungary, only in Budapest, I have to say that the unemployment rate during the 9 months just doubled from 250 unemployment people. So yes, it is a huge issue. So just jump into the presentation. First, I would like to introduce you what is our activity, why I hope IFCA considered that our business can be a good example, and how our business model works, especially during the COVID-19 situation, and also how we tackle these environmental and social issues. So, as you already mentioned, that Recobin is a waste service provider in Budapest, and our main goal is to assist different office buildings to become greener by organizing and maintaining a proper waste recycling system in different sites like office buildings, shopping malls, and different logistics centers. Most of you have probably heard that there are waste transportation companies, but they are only responsible for taking the recyclable waste, and our activity is far more complex than that. So we work together with all stakeholders when it comes to office buildings, like facility management, cleaning companies, tenants, and even the office sites. So just what do we do? As I mentioned, we provide a complex waste management service. In order to achieve higher recycling rates, we contract these office buildings and asset management companies. We also organize their indoor waste recycling system. We provide solutions, tools, we educate the people. What I will underline also later, that there is a secondary waste separation service that we do, and also we are responsible for transportation, monitoring, and data analysis. At the very beginning, when I started to do my part in protecting the environment, I had to realize that there is a huge amount of environmental initiatives that are unsuccessful because of their non-competitiveness to non-environmental solutions. And my quote basically become our baseline when we are doing our business, that all the green investments and projects services have to be financially sustainable and competitive to non-sustainable solution. And that is exactly what our company, what Recobin does. So how we do it, during our negotiations and let's say rendezvous, we always highlight the competitiveness of our green service. Just to briefly explain to you how it works. The communal and household waste dispatch usually have a fixed price, a fixed quantity based price in all cities. It may differ from location to location, like city to city. And regarding the office buildings, this cost is considered as a minor cost. However, when there is a problem, it pays off to have a contract with a company that is providing a complex solution. And we have these facility management companies to reduce their costs and to take over their responsibilities when it comes to waste. Our main goal is basically to have these facility management companies to avoid any critical situation. And how we do that, we make fixed term contracts in an average of €1,000 per office buildings. As I already explained, we do this significant reduction on communal and mixed waste. And I'm also put a small graph here that on the left side you can see that how, let's say, 100% or 100 units that an office building is spending for waste, and through we are reducing this waste, we are opening a gap, and we can put our price, our service fee there. So that's how we are working. And it is so important, especially during this COVID-19 situation, that we are having these fixed term contracts like 24, 33-month contracts that help us to maintain our cash flow during these really hard times as well. Also, just to go a bit deeper into this waste issue, as I mentioned before, we are tackling this environmental issue by taking most of the recyclable waste manually on site. So it is so important that we are doing this on site. I would like to explain to you the core problem that we are facing in office and municipal waste recycling, but I have to skip the explanation of the role of recycling in circular economy and also its kind of real relations to climate change, because we just simply don't have enough time for that. So the problem is that we are facing that there is a huge potential in recyclable waste in office buildings. Like most of the waste could be recycled, but in practice, it is just not happening due to different circumstances. And regarding our field-based experiences, that most of these office paper and office plastic just simply ends up in landfill or in incineration. As I mentioned before, there has to be a manual workforce because it's necessary to reach such recycling rates for various reasons. And basically, at each of our office building, there is at least one of our dedicated employee that is responsible for this secondary waste selection. Before you ask me why it is important, let me just briefly explain this to you, because even though we do put a lot of effort into education, on one hand, the users actually still mix up the different waste streams. Cleaning companies that are responsible for taking the waste down from the office to the collection points are not necessarily performing well, and also in order to make some income on waste, recycling industry requires clean plastic, clean paper, and stuff. So how we do it, we basically employ people that have some different social disadvantages, like homeless, ex-prisoners, also people who have problems with addictions. And we have a work integration model, so we also train them how to behave in their work environment, and also helping them using digital tools during their work. I hope I still have time. I just want to talk a little about a brief history of us. I started my career back in 2006 and during a long period, we also invited different funds into our activity, and now we are facing this COVID-19 situation. I also have to underline that our company is not such a big company. We have 15 employees, we have 40,000 euros per year net income, and but we already have 30 contracted companies in Budapest. And where we are now, just to give you some examples, that we are, for example, a contracted partner of Raiffeisen Bank, the CPI Property Group, also the Embassy of the United States in Hungary is one of our partners. And during the last couple of months, we made a research that if the Recobin model is ready to implement onto other markets, and we had to find that this is viable. Like, for example, Vienna is a 3 times bigger market. Prague is kind of similar to Budapest, and we are already working with basically the biggest asset management companies on these 30 sites in Budapest. And basically, we are recently looking for expansion possibilities in Budapest. So in the end, I'm proud to say that Recobin is making a huge effort to provide a service and that is sustainable in the aspect of environment, and we are tackling social issues at the same time. And yet, regarding these fixed term contracts, our business model is financially sustainable, and we are also able to provide economical benefits to our partners. So thank you again for having me, and I'm looking forward to your questions in the end.
Wonderful, Attila. That's such a fantastic social enterprise that you have here, and very successful. And I especially want to mirror the importance of involving all stakeholders. I mean, the social economy really needs to be a participatory process. So I think that's fantastic. You mentioned education. I think that's at the root of this huge paradigm shift that we're hoping to have, and that we're currently in, I believe, regarding the green transition. And you mentioned digital skills and the digital transition as well. So your social enterprise really is quite a holistic approach to this, and especially when you mention the inclusion of people with who have social difficulties as well, and really helping to combat the unemployment issue. And just I want to mention that many people, they think about sustainability in biological terms, in terms of biodiversity and conservation, and of course carbon. But we have to understand that with the SDGs, there's a huge focus on reducing poverty and also reducing inequalities. And I think to be truly sustainable, social enterprises need to include all of these things, and they tend to do that. So that's really wonderful.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to move on now to Katja Zykel. Now, Katja is going to talk to us about Recosi, a social franchise for smarter IT consumption. Katja is director and founding member of the global social franchise Recosi, which operates in the area of ICT reuse. And again, we've had some input about the circular economy already, and this is a fantastic example of this. So we're really looking forward to hearing about it. So Katja, I pass the floor to you.
Oh, hello.
Yes, now we can hear you perfectly. Wonderful.
Oh, hello. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for having me here. Just let me set up this presentation. Okay, is that working now?
That's working perfectly.
Perfect. So hello again, and I hope you're all healthy now in this difficult times during the COVID crisis. And my name is Katja Zyko, and I'm coming from company Recosi. And today I'm going to talk about the electronics devices and social franchising. As Attila already spoke before me about the waste, I'm going to talk about the electronic waste and how they can be properly treated, how can we do reuse, and what kind of the benefits we can bring to the society. And from this photograph, you can all see what is the current problem and what is the situation. We are on a yearly basis, we are producing more than 40 million tons of electronic waste, which is equally to throwing away 800 laptops every second. So this is a huge amount of waste that ends up majority 80% in the third world countries. And then you can see, like in this photo, people and children are facing with those dangerous electronic waste, which is not only harmful for the environment, but also harmful for the health of every individuals. And this is why Recosi was created. So Recosi was created to tackle this problem, to reuse electronic devices, to make them reliable devices so that they are fit for reuse, so that we can save a lot of precious material which are obviously in those devices. We can extend the life cycle of the products, and not only that, we can create lots of jobs in social economy, and that means providing really sustainable jobs. And in other, and also another positive impact is bridging a digital divide. So this equipment can be fit for reuse and can be used in schools, which is now in those days, in the COVID times, really, really important, because everybody is looking now for laptop. Everybody is seeking for technology, and a lot of children, a lot of schools cannot afford it. And so this is now the opportunity for us, for our social enterprises who are dealing in this area, in the IT reuse, to actually grow in this area. So if I can go a little bit background, if I can talk a little bit about our history. Recosi was created in 2014 in Ireland with 3 like-minded individuals, myself and my 2 colleagues from Ireland. We felt that we can combine our experiences in the social economy, in ICT industry, especially recycling electronic devices, and in the business development. So we combined those experiences and set up Recosi in Ireland in 2014. In 2015, we transferred our model to the United States, to Yuma, to Arizona, and in 2017 into Slovenia. So I'm now basically in charge for the development of Slovenia, which I will talk a little bit later about, more specifically about this organization. And we are currently supplying with our equipment market in Ireland, in the UK, and from Slovenia we are supplying it to Slovenian market, to Italy, and to Croatia. Our future target market is, of course, to supply to everyone in European Union affordable and high quality, low cost IT equipment. So far, we have created a huge environmental and social impact. We have reused more than 150,000 items so far. We have helped 120,000 households, and we have created 21 million kilos of CO2 savings so far, which is equal to 1.1 billion trees absorbing CO2 each day. And so now I'm here back to Slovenia, which is, we are a social enterprise. We are part of Irish franchise, and we have been established in 2017. I must say that we have had a tremendous help from local municipality here. Mayor refurbished an old building so that we can start our operations here. We are operating on the 250 square meters. This is the photograph from our office, which was taken the other day. So we are basically refurbishing, professional refurbishing electronics, I mean like computers and laptops, and then we are sending it to local market, I mean into Slovenia and to the other neighbor countries, as I mentioned before. And so far we have created 7 full-time employee jobs for 7 full-time employees. And 1/3 of those are people with different disabilities or disadvantaged people, so like first-time seekers, job seekers, long-term unemployed, different types of disabilities that they are facing with. And we are also all the time having a good relationship with local employment services, because we are all the time training unemployed, long-term unemployed people into our work process. And then at the end, if they are good, we provide them a job, a secure job, so that they can build their career in Recosi, or they have a great experience from our work from our company here. We are also providing work practice for many students. We have hosted students from Spain, from Italy, who came here last year and year before with Erasmus Plus program. And for our products, what we are offering, it's very important quality. So the quality is one of the major and significant attribute that we need to follow, because we are offering used equipment and it's electronic equipment, so it needs to be fit for reuse, it needs to be safe, and we are having a quality standard. That means that every single product has been properly tested, and then we provide it with the 12 months warranty to our customers. And we do also language localization, so that we can send laptops in different language layouts to I don't know, to Italian customer, to Croatian customer, to customer in, I don't know, in UK or in Slovenia. Also one of the major reasons why someone would choose for our products or services is of course also huge savings, because we are offering the products which were equal to the new one and cost more than 70% less to the new product, because most of our equipment we get from large multinational companies from abroad, which were on the 2 or 3 years lease, and then we get it back on, and then we get it back and refurbish them properly. And also we install the latest Windows software system, so that customer has really product ready to go. And all of those positives that I have already mentioned, there are also 2 positives that aren't being yet properly calculated in the balance sheet of social enterprises, is environmental and social impact. So all of those benefits we are trying to implement in the future also into the balance sheet of our company. And at the end, I'm very proud to mention that we have been last year chosen among of the 15 best social enterprises in Europe from the European Investment Bank. And also these COVID times are basically really helping us, because in this way we are becoming more recognized on the market, because now everybody needs technology, computer, laptops, and also it's a huge opportunity for social enterprise like Recosi now to stand out, to give the good services to the customers. So this would be at the moment from my end. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
Well, Kaja, thank you very, very much for that really in-depth presentation. There's so much here. And again, once again, we're touching on these really important points that have been mentioned before by Max and Attila and all the other speakers, where we're talking about jobs, bridging the digital divide, schools and education, training.
Yes.
And I think you've mentioned some things that are really important for the success of social enterprises, and that's keeping the cost down for customers while ensuring quality. And I think I imagine you guys will agree with me that the general public can be quite discerning when it comes to using used goods. I think the goods have to be show an incredible quality in order for that business model to be successful, and you're clearly showing that. So that's really wonderful. And I also wanted to bring back that all the speakers so far have really been talking about what Max was talking about with the repairing role of social economy in the post-COVID, or I know that we're still in this COVID pandemic right now. But you also mentioned, Katja, the internationalization of this. So it's really fantastic, and that links quite well with Max's OECD report that he mentioned that was coming out. So thank you very much. And we're going to move on now to... Thank you very much, Katja. We're going to move on to Agata Zemiakovic. So Agata is with the Dobre Association, which involves professional therapy workshops, developing ideas, increasing employment, and upskilling. So really a true social enterprise. And we really look forward to hearing from you, Agata. So I'll give you the floor once you're ready.
Hello, can you hear me well?
Nice and clear, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And is it my presentation visible already?
Yes, to me it is. Yep.
Great, thank you. So let me introduce myself. I'm Agata Ziemiakowicz. I work for Rzeszów Regional Development Agency, so a Social Seeds project partner, and I'm coordinator from our side. But here today I represent the social entity, partly because of the COVID situation. We couldn't find someone from there who will be speaking fluently in English, because now they are facing a lot of changes in the staff, so many people are out, and I hope I will represent them well today. So I really liked what Nicholas said about sustainability. Those days, we shouldn't only think about the biological dimension of it, but also thinking about it as a reduction of poverty and inequalities. So that's why Dobre Dom Association was created. Dobre Dom means good home in a translation. So I will present how they achieved this kind of sustainability. They started in 1999 from the initiative of group of people who are disabled, and basically because those people wanted to do something. They really know that they have skills, they have willing to do something, but on the market there weren't so much possibilities from there. So they thought, if nothing can do it for us, we do it ourselves. So they established the association first. And in 2005, they opened the working space for the people and for themselves. I mean, so they can also work and make some kind of profit. But the general idea of the association is achieves its goals by working for the benefit of disabled people and people who are socially excluded. And from the very beginning to the end, I mean to now, Their main activity is concentrated in the Center for Independent Living, which basically consists of 5 activities. So the system includes Department of Professional Activity in the little village which is called Nowa Sarzyna. They have training flats, protected housing, revalidation educational center, and volunteering. So, in the title of my presentation, I mentioned upskilling. And here we will have like 2 dimensions of upskilling. So firstly, talking about like independent housing and independent center of living, upskilling here is basically learning the basic skills which are sometimes for us we don't put attention to it, but many people, many disabled people cannot live independently because they maybe don't believe that they can do everything for themselves, like personal hygiene, dressing and clothing, healthcare, cooking, eating, home management, financial management at home, problem solving, and living basically in the community. It's many times problem for them to start independent living. So this kind of activities association does, it's like a very something very basic, but at the same time it gives power for those people to start their independent living in the society. And like I mentioned, the second very important activity is the professional workshop activity, where people can rehabilitate themselves by working. So in this case, upskilling is actually concentrated on professional work and social development. So everyone has some natural skills, and there the people can work actually taking up activities in one of 4 workshops, like carpentry, wickery, handcrafts, catering, bakery, and cooking services. So people can upskilling here without feeling excluded from the professional life. And what is the most important, rediscovering their self-esteem and usefulness. So working in a professional activity establishment actually ensures independent living in the society, facilitate the proper rehabilitations, and what is more, and I really put exclamation here in the last point, it can show potential employers that disabled people are fully capable for work and creation of actually very valuable products. I have to emphasize that still in the Polish working market, job market, it's still very difficult sometimes to believe that disabled people are really like very valuable employers, and there is no difference between disabled and fully able people. So in this case, this example is great for others to see beautiful products and very valuable products they do. And here the purpose is to prepare the person who is working there to be ready to work in the free open market, job market. So what are the services they provide? Recycling, carpentry, wickery art, decoration and souvenirs products, catering services. You can see here some beautiful examples of their work. To develop the employment, because I have to mention that from the beginning they started with some kind like 5 people working. Now they have over 90 people working there, so it's a quite big company now. So they are investing now in machinery, safety and working conditions, premises modernization, and green energies. So also this biological dimension of sustainability is realizing here. Now they have like two new initiatives. They opened the restaurant in the old historical train station. So they employed more like 20 more disabled people who are learning how to serve dishes, how to sell, and how to operate in the, let's say, open restaurant for any clients who are wanting to come. Yes, this is, and the second initiative now is a project called Sweet Miracles, where another 10 people are trained by 3 coaches to how to make pastry and also how to discover abilities to work and be with people, working with people. So at the end, I want to read the mission of the Dobre Dom Association, and I really like what they really do in the region, because they are only one who works like in this holistic approach. So they say like there are around 5 million people in Poland affected by disabilities, which change and shape all their life. Everyday activities become a challenge, so you need to remind yourself and others that a disabled person is a person full of dreams, hopes, and desires. And most of their talents are hidden because they have no chances to show themselves and others what they can do. So we want to help giving a chance and development, a space for creativity, which lasts longer than any other kind of support. It gives independency. So I think it's a very beautiful mission and really good example of social entity which put a human being in the center. Here you can have some pictures of Social Seeds project in Dobry Dom, because we had an opportunity to visit them. It was very inspiring, I hope. Thank you very much. That's all from my side.
Agatha, that's absolutely wonderful. So thank you for that. I can hear a slight echo, but hopefully you guys can't. Oh, wonderful. It's gone. So Agatha, thank you very much for talking about that. It's a true social integration project. And I think the name speaks volumes, the good home aspect of it. And you mentioned so many different projects within there that are all really empowering people and raising their self-esteem. And I think this is a very, very important aspect of true integration. And I think for people to be included, they have to feel part of the process. I think that's one of the major parts of inclusiveness as a word, actually, is being involved in the process. And the fact that this was made in 1999 from a group of people who do have disabilities, I think it's a true testament to empowerment and raising awareness and self-esteem. So that's fantastic. And your message of upskilling really resonates again with the repairing role of the social economy in this COVID pandemic. And it's a true success story, going from 5 to 90 people. That's really fantastic. And it's again a true marriage of the green and the social. Many of the projects that you're preparing people to work for are actually as part of this green transition. So you're really helping both people and planet with these initiatives and these social enterprises. So thank you very much for that presentation. So we're going to move on to our final speaker now, who is Donna Kalistova, and she will tell us the story of Cabinet CB and how to move 50 tons of furniture back to the market. So this is Donna is the founder and director of Cabinet CV, and it's an important reuse center. And they say that they like to make broken things work again. And she will tell us the story of how this happened. So again, testament to the circular economy. We can't stress how important the circular economy is in this green and social transition. So, Donna, the floor is yours.
So, good morning, everyone. I am not Donna, but I'm here with her. My name is Dana. We met yesterday. I am from Regional Development Agency, RERA, from Czech Republic. And we are pleased that we were joined by our friend and colleague from Kabinet CB, Ms. Dana Kalistova. And as you said, she will continue on with her presentation. I would just add that some of you may have met her 2 years ago during event organized by Eurada in Brussels. She was presenting a draft of the social enterprise at the time. So now we can see how it actually was implemented.
Hello, everybody. It's very nice to meeting you, even I don't, but it's very nice to meet you again. I call my presentation with the subtitle or title, How to Move 50 Tons of Furniture Back to Market, because this is now the biggest challenge what we are dealing with. Because it's not very hard to collect 50 tons of furniture and other stuff, but the biggest challenge is to put them back in the market. So this is what we are challenging every day with. I would like to start with a little bit of history, because how Zdenek said, we met 2 years ago, but from like who didn't see the presentation, I would like to say some small memories. So like our story starts in 2015, when we were like a small community project with some volunteers from Asylum House. And we once a month we collect some donation stuff, and we put them in the car, and we were just like driving around our city and giving the stuff back to people who the stuff needed. But this service was nice, but very soon we were not very flexible, and so the people who wanted this furniture or the stuff waiting a long time, and so we were thinking like what to do next. In 2018, we got chance to, or opportunity to start our reuse center as a social enterprise. So we decided to become the like businessmen. So now we are in the present. We start to be social entrepreneurs, and we start to run our business with 3 employees, and mostly our employees are handicapped people. They have or they have some other kind of troubles, and we start the business with the 3 employees and rent a big place for to collect our furniture and other stuff. So this is the present, and now the most important what I wanted to introduce here is like what kind of stuff we are doing. So this is our place now. This is our storage. It has like 500 square meters. This is our warehouse where our employees are fixing the stuff, and this is the car, and this is what all we need. We need hands of strong men, and we need a big storage good car, and big passion. So we aim to sell. So we offer the services. For example, we renovate and redesign the furniture. Then we sell it, or we like customers can order to fix their old stuff. So this is one topic what we are dealing with. Then we organize public courses of furniture renovation, and also this workshop space is for public, so anybody can come and rent for 1 hour or for 1 week, and he can or she can fix the stuff by themselves. Also, we offer that, for example, the people who are planning some events, they can rent sets of dishes. This is like how to save the plastic dishes. They can use ours. For example, the pictures is on the left or on the right side, or when you see. So this is one biggest culture event in our city, České Budějovice, and people. It's like big culture event for like 20,000 people, and people who were in this events, they can come and like rent or borrow the glasses, and they don't need to use the plastic one. Also, we sell dishes like complete. So when, for example, you are a student, you come to our city, you can start with our with our dishes, and also we decorate cups or mugs, because you don't believe how many cups we have in our storage, like 2 camion, I guess. Next services is we offer that we are emptying the houses and apartments. This is very good option to meet our clients, because you offer them this emptying service, but then you can talk to them, and some stuff which are not necessary to put in garbage, we can keep them, and we can use them for other stuff, or moving, or then this one new service is that we are furnishing the offices for business starters. So we even our office is just this furnished with reuse stuff, and so we are like showroom for businessmen who wanted to see how the office can look like. This is the project which I am really proud of, because I think this picture, or this collection of pictures, shows how our project is functional and how can help people who are like without money, or they need to have some help from other people. We call it Housing First. I think that a lot of people know this kind of projects, because it's not our Czech Republic project. It's like all over the world. Housing First, we are cooperating with Housing First from January of this year, and we furnish already 12 apartments or houses. And you can see that the pictures when it's absolutely empty, and finally we really furnished all the rooms. We put the flower on the table. We give the toys to the children who is going to live there, and I think that this shows it has sense. And I think that I can't miss the chance to say you my plans, even if it's now very hard time for everybody, but I'm still planning and I'm still hoping that good times are waiting for us. And so my plans are not small. Now in these days we are discussing to change discussing the chance to build a showroom and store in České Budějovice, and we get the chance to start coffee, which should be like our marketing or PR project, because the people who come to have a coffee or beer or whatever, they will see even our mugs and our chairs and our other services. We could speak to them. So I think that this is really a chance for us, and it's in the center of the city, in very nice old house. Even then, we are planning to open a Reus point, so and store in Kaplice, which is city close to České Budějovice. And then I have some plans which are not connecting just with my cabinet, but it's we try to be taken like part in establishing the Czech Federation of Reuse Centers and helping to promote the topic, because I think that we miss this very much. Nobody knows. Oh no, nobody knows, but a lot of people doesn't know in the Czech Republic what reuse means, what we are doing and what we are kind of business. So I decided that I will move this topic forward, and I even make a bridge to European Union, because I connected with I contact our colleague from Brussels. She's Czech, so it's very easy for me to speak with her. She's from European organization Reuse with double R in the beginning. And this organization represents social enterprises activity in Reuse. So this is a very important organization for me. And we decided in a few months we start to be member of this organization, and we make we want to show that even in Czech Republic, which is now the black point in the European map, that we can we have this kind of activity here, and we need to be supported from not from just our state, but from other businessmen and stuff like this. Mostly important, surviving current economical crisis. I wish you everybody be strong and be optimistic, and I hope that we will meet each other in another months, and we can speak from eyes to eyes and shake your hand. So wish you good luck, and it was very nice to meeting you even in online world.
Thank you very, very much, Donna. What a fantastic full presentation. I don't know where to begin to summarize this, because there's so much wonderful information here. I mean, it's a real true evolution of a project. Again, it's another truly social integration, and I love your future optimism of bringing convenience through these reuse centers. I think that's a really fantastic thing. And I think it's great that you've connected with Reuse. I actually have some experience with Reuse, because I interviewed them recently, their colleague Elaine Hanlon, for our podcast, which is called Social Economy Talks. And they are a fantastic organization, so you've done really well to connect with them. And I particularly like the idea of you have so many different aspects that clients can use. Not only do you redesign things in a really stylish way, you also allow for renting. And I think this is really important in terms of circular economy. It's also important to transition to a sharing economy in order to protect our resources. So thank you very much, Donna. That's a really fantastic presentation. Now we're going to move on to some questions in a second. And I'm going to invite my colleague Tessa to also join us. She's been helping with the questions at the side. And I'd also, I think, Tessa, is this a good moment to get the results of the first questions of the slide?
I think so. First, I want to say that of the 2 days, I am not allowed, probably, it's not politically correct to have preferences, but this has been by far my favorite day because I think that these stories of these social entrepreneurs are just amazing, very inspiring and very uplifting. So thank you to all of them for taking the time to speak today in our event. Yeah, maybe can Alberto call up a few Slido polls for us? You agree, Nicholas?
Yes, now's the time, I think. Okay, so the first question was, which of the following 4 cases is not a social enterprise? These are in a slightly different order. So most people, 59%, said an enterprise providing organic products in the school canteen. So they said that they correctly said that it's not a social enterprise. So an enterprise installing solar panels integrating youth from university. Now, interestingly, I don't know if Max is available to talk to us, but if I'm correct, that this was actually an example of a social enterprise. Perhaps Max, if he's still with us, can jump in.
Yes, hello, hi Nicholas. Indeed, you see, it's thank you very much for interesting examples, concrete examples of what we mean by social economy, and I'm very thankful to speakers. I learned a lot, and I was really very, very happy to hear about it. Speaking about this slide, it's difficult to say, but I mean, clearly, if you're a company just providing organic products to a school canteen, to me, it's probably the least possible social enterprise. Others, it all depends. It depends on the motivation, if you want to make a social change and stuff like that. But I would say out of the 4 responses, the first one was probably the not a social enterprise, which was rightly corrected. Others could be considered under certain circumstances.
This is actually extremely interesting. I mean, one of our actions at Social Economy Europe that we want to include in the action plan for the social economy is really a true definition of what the social economy is and how it stands for. So it's quite impressive that even people, including myself, who work in this area, really the boundaries are so blurred between what is an actual social enterprise and what consists of the social economy. So let's move on to the second question. Have you already heard and used the EU OECD Better Entrepreneurship Policy Tool? And interestingly, many people have never heard of it. And some people says yes, but I've heard of it, but haven't used it yet. About a third of people. And
actually, Nicholas, if I may, that the coordinator of our project has a question for Max. So if Alberto can give the floor to Aaron for the moment, that would be really useful.
Perfect.
Hi guys. Sorry, I'm unable to use my video or camera, but can you hear me?
We can, Aaron.
Okay, so thank you for all the presentation, and I think it was an interesting. It would be nice to have a discussion actually afterwards, but I know that we are pressed for time. So I guess I have 3 comments, but then I'm just going to talk about the Better Entrepreneurship Tool. I really kind of appreciate the work of the OECD and the Commission in this field of social entrepreneurship. Fortunately, the tool itself is not very usable for 2 reasons. One, there is a huge technical problem, which we try to kind of communicate to whoever is managing the tool. So actually it's not usable. You can't send out links. So there are serious technical errors, which makes it very makes it kind of a bother to use it. So that would be my first point. So before you encourage people using the Better Entrepreneurship tool, I think it would be important to fix all these technical errors. The second issue is, to be honest, I have a kind of a more kind of theoretical question of the usefulness of any such tool regarding two aspects. One is that it's like a self-assessment. It doesn't really give you any guidance on how you actually, on what basis or on what criteria you should give certain points to certain questions. And I think that could be also a kind of an issue when you want to actually come up with comparable results. This is especially true in inter projects where we try to use the Better Entrepreneurship tool in transnational context, which means that we can't even actually because if it's within the region, then you have the opportunity to discuss it, come up with your own definitions or own criteria. But when it's in a transnational context, I think it's really difficult to have these kind of pre-talks and agree on these criteria. I think that's all. I mean, there will be other issues as well, but I just wanted to draw the attention to these 2 points. And I'm interested in Max. Sorry, I didn't want to come across as critical or anything. I just think it would be, in theory, a very useful tool or some kind of, start a conversation kind of tool. But these two issues have come up various times when we wanted to actually implement it or use it.
Sorry, can I answer it very briefly?
Please, Max, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aaron. You're in the right place. I'm following closely the tool, actually, as we speak, and indeed, following the new function that we added, it created some bugs. But we were informed yesterday by our IT provider that it's being sorted. So many of the bugs have been resolved. I mean, I agree with you. The tool should be used. And secondly, I want to refer to, everyone who created any kind of online tool knows that there are always bugs picking up for one reason or another. But I think you have to look at the guidance notes, which are available in the tool, and the areas. And there is a lot of information that could be helpful, but I don't want to monopolize the discussion around it. We are going to organize it. Very happy to speak to you, Aaron. It's great to get your feedback for us also to improve it, and with everyone else. And we're going to organize a number of workshops around it. So I hope many of you would be able to come and to share and use this methodology. That would be hopefully helpful. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Max.
Much, Max, and thanks, Aaron, for the question. Tessa, I wonder if now is a good opportunity, just before we take a couple more questions, because I know we're running out of time. Have we added the third question yet to the slide?
We did. If Alberto can show it, that would be really helpful.
Okay, fantastic. So we've got a lot of keywords here. And so the question was, in your opinion, what should a supportive social economy look like by 2030? And so we have, I like this one, the rule rather than the exception. I think that the social economy is the future. And I think, of course, nobody's asking for social economy to be the only form of economy, but it would be great if it was so important that it was actually a dominant force within the economy. So that's wonderful. Integration, fully agree. Circular, forward-looking, green, proactive, enabling, resilient is a very, very important word, especially in times of COVID crisis, where you'll notice that some huge companies suffer greatly to one perturbation like the COVID-19 crisis, because they don't have a variety of ways of supporting their workers and getting income, whereas the social economy is a really, truly resilient force. And I think that's really important in these times. And here, sustainable, green, and the largest one, inclusive. And I think we can all agree that the social entrepreneurs and the enterprises we've heard about today are all truly inclusive, and really do their best to bring to protect the planet and people, and people first, like all social economy entities should be. So that's really wonderful. Tessa, do you have any comments about the third question?
Well, actually, I only have a lot of very positive reactions in the chat to the enterprises presentation. So I think it will be a pleasure to share the details with all the people afterwards and try to promote the companies as much as we can, because it's true that buying social helps a lot. I have a question for Attila, if we may. Somebody asked, which is the hardest challenge that you face for your enterprise in terms of waste management system?
Thank you for the question. And as I remember, well, I partly tried to answer to that question, but basically, the biggest issue that we are facing is not with the waste management itself. It is rather to convince the asset management and the facility management companies to jump into a contract right now. Because office buildings are having basically a 50% of their former activity or less, even less. So they are just not producing that amount of waste on one hand, and on the second hand, that we are rather facing is that how to select and how to train. And I used to use this expression upskilling. So how to upskill our workforce to be better and to be able to put them into a work environment. In general, waste management is still operating. So people are just still working. They are producing waste. So we are kind of. It may sound stupid, but as there is waste on the market, we are going to survive.
Okay, thank you. A question for Donna. So first of all, wonderful project. How many people are you employing at the moment, Donna? And how do you measure the impact of the company?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Now we employ 8 people. 2 of them are from office, and they take care about marketing and selling the stuff and communication with our clients. And other are in our storage and in a bar place or your workplace. So they are doing all the services I introduce you.
Okay, thank you. We also have a question for Katja, if she's still there. Somebody saying that 70% less waste is incredible, which I agree with. Katja, from your background, would you recommend some good actions that the general public can take when our devices get hold? How can we support enterprises like yours for the reuse of devices? I don't know if Katja is still with us, though.
Okay. Hello?
Hello. Yes.
Oh, hello. Yes, I'm still here. So basically what it is, it's the major part is how to collect all of these devices which are still in the hands of people, which they don't use them. So basically it's very important that we get those devices still in working shape and form so that they don't travel directly to the waste management company. When they ends up there in the waste management company, you can't do a lot with them because they are broken. And obviously, this is the first thing. We do a lot of devices we do receive from big companies as well, so multinational companies that we go there and collect from them directly. This is one thing, so the collection is very important. The other thing is how to support enterprises like ours. Yes, I must admit, like I said this before, this is now the time that we are growing. Thank God for the COVID crisis. I mean, from this difficult times, but we don't have enough money, if I can say so, for the investment or to become bigger. And because in this time it's very important that we can digitalize our work process and that sort of stuff. So we are looking for, I don't know, if there is a chance in now in this area that we could get some support for projects, partners, or whatever, to share the practice with them and to grow our business in this way as well. So I'm asking if there is also a chance for some sort of bigger projects in the European Union that we can be a part of, because we have a knowledge, we have a good practice. We just would like to develop and, to extend our impact over the Europe, if possible.
In any case, for Social Seeds, it will be a pleasure to feature the enterprise in the social media. So Katja, take us up on our offer.
Okay.
Nicholas, can we have one last question?
At the moment, I haven't found any others. There's so much in the chat that
Yeah, I have one last one from Agatha. It's a rather specific one about the experience of the use of cohesion funds.
Perfect.
So it's actually from one of my colleagues who is wondering if Agatha has already decided to include the next ERDF operational program to continue the support to social enterprises in the region. And in case it will continue, what would be the major support given by the RDA of Agatha? And also, what, as an experienced manager of social enterprises support programs that Agatha has, what could other development agencies do to support social enterprises, in her opinion? It's many questions in one, actually.
Okay. Well, I'm not working basically because in our agency there is a Center for Social Economy. So they deal with all the regional operational programs and national funds for social enterprises. So I'm not the best person to answer this question. But yes, we are discussing now the future perspective. But of course, due to the COVID, it's quite difficult. But what is the most important here is to have regional and national stakeholders. What we do here, we build every 3 months the Council for Social Policies, and everyone who is involved in social policies in the region come there and discuss the current issues. So now it's the current perspective. So what I basically advise is to have as much stakeholders as possible. So regional labor centers, social aid centers, they all influence the policy, and they all have something experience to share. And on this base, the regional operational program is shaped. So next programming period. And I can only tell, speaking about advices, I can only tell from our experience that here in Poland, at least, every region has 3 accreditation centers for social policy developments. And they are distributing funds. So basically, those 2 or 3 regional supporting centers for social economy operates. And what they offer, they have animation, incubation, and what I think the most important part is incubation, because the idea sometimes it's not working in an open market. So incubation is a very important part here. Incubation as a service. Then, of course, some business advisory, special advisory that, for example, we have the human resources management, so we can train those people who want to establish the social economy entity. And of course, financing, but financing comes from, of course, the regional operational program. So here in Poland, this perspective was more structured than previous one, basically because of this regional centers for supporting social entities. Yeah, I can also ask Jakub. You know Jakub from URADA meetings. He is a specialist in this kind of questions, because I basically operate in international projects. So he knows more about it. So if Esteban, who asked this question, wants to know more, I can contact him with Jakub. He will, I think, with pleasure ask all the questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Agata.
Wonderful. Thank you, Agata. So I think, Tessa, if I'm correct, that's all we have time for today.
Unfortunately.
It's such an amazingly interesting discussion. I'm sure we could go all day, but I imagine we're all getting a bit hungry now. But thank you very much, URADA and Social Seeds, for this amazing 2 days, and especially this second day today, where we've seen social entrepreneurs and social enterprises, the real grassroots movement of the social economy, and demonstrating exactly how we can be inclusive and sustainable as an economy and as a social economy. So I'll just finish by saying, if you do have any questions, you can follow us up on social media, and we will give any answers of any questions that we haven't managed to get to. Also, we'll follow those up. Slides and recordings and a summary of today's event and yesterday made available on the Interreg Europe Social Seeds website. And I'd like to say a huge thank you from my part for having me. So wonderful. And Tessa, I'll leave you the final word. So thank you.
Well, we want to thank you, Nicholas. You had to jump in the very last moment, in fact, so the people are not aware of it. But thank you for your availability and excellent moderation.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to our social entrepreneurs and our audience. It will be a pleasure to see you soon again. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you to all the speakers one more time. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.